Fuji Flights sponsors 10-Year Tip with Garry Dibley.
And good evening. It is Monday night. It is 10-Year Tip with me, Garry Dibley, and the ever capable modding maestro, that is Mark. Yes, as you may well see, I look a complete and utter tit tonight. I have my daughter's Santa hat on that she loaned me for the occasion. We've gone to much effort in the studio here, and we have set up a lovely sort of Christmassy background for you tonight, because this is the I suppose it's the last show before Christmas. I did ask last week, would you like to see a show Christmas Eve? And nobody replied, so therefore I get the night off. Very nice. And seeing as the week after will be the year or the eve of the new year, I'll take that one as well. Yes, I had an early Christmas present, as you may well see, a 10-Year Tip t-shirt from somebody, hopefully, for the first time, I'm going to be introducing live. You see my TV over my fireplace. If I press a couple of buttons, I should be able to, by the power of the interweb, bring in Mark. Here we go. Let me just see if this works. I've got everything crossed, fingers crossed. Before I bring Mark in, I must say that, you know, I'm trying to get festive, but roasting my chestnuts by this open fire is beginning to hurt ever so slightly. Press a button, see if we can get him in. No, we can't. Mark, he's totally screwed it up. Hold on one second. There you are. You are there now, Mark. Say hello.
I'm here, Anna. Jolly good.
Yeah, and hopefully you got. Yeah, I pressed the wrong. You know, I was pressing. You know, we were going through pain beforehand, and I was saying to Mark, this is going to go wrong, and it did. But you are there now. How you doing?
Well, I'm a bit warm up here, but apart from that, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, I do apologise. I will remove my chestnuts from the fireplace very soon. I must say, Mark, look, Mark sent me this lovely T-shirt, and he's got one himself. We have 10-Year Tip T-shirts. I was saying, Mark, my missus said you could wear that on holiday, and I said, yeah, but what I might do is change the I for an A. I'll let the guys in chat catch up. Yeah, 10-Year Tip. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do, we are, obviously, this is our festive show, shall we say. We're going to hopefully have a few videos. Myself and Mark are going to come back after this first lot. If you've got any questions you would like to ask us, please feel free. We will be fielding any question you can throw at us. Does it have to be about modding, Mark? What do you reckon?
Well, with this audience, it may be risky to ask them anything.
It might be risky, yeah. I mean, hopefully nobody's going to ask about the guy during the the NLT discussions that are going on today. He was talking about nicotine suppositories. I'm not going to tell the guys what I called it, but I may slide that in a little bit later. Oh God, no, that's probably wrong as well, isn't it? Yeah. No. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to pop into our first little video. We are this week continuing with the Lego theme, and also continuing with, I think, what you're doing your Wii mod, aren't you, Mark?
Yeah, that one.
The one you have with you. So get your questions in now. Type them up in chat, obviously, as per the usual format. Start with a Q, and hopefully Mark's going to pick those up, and we will field some of your questions after this first set of vids that are going to be coming up now. Right, well, my negative spring has now dried, and I have glued the wire just down inside, running along there, popped it up through the hole that we made in one of the bottom Lego bricks for this to pop through. What I'm going to do now is just solder up the positive pin. Now I'm going to be taking the wire from the pos pin in between these two little Lego lumps here, and that will probably sit just down inside there and shouldn't interrupt the cap when it goes down. But it's going to be some bending and some gluing and this, that and the other thing. So I'm just going to tin up a a little bit of neg wire here, and I'm going to be running the neg wire straight the way through on this one to the atomizer. So just bear me while I tin up a little bit off shot. And I think if everything went according to plan, this is carried over to another week now. So that means I'm well in advance. And I'm probably Christmas shopping when I would be filming this in the workshop. So it's all good. It means the wife may actually get a present this year. I keep telling her she had a new washing machine, but she is not having that at all for some strange reason. I'm just pressing down on here. What I do when I do these is I don't sort of twist the wires together, purely, he's doing that so badly, purely because our battery, if we do have, and you're using a flat top battery like this one, you want that to make contact with that top rather than this wire holding it off. Now I'm going to be using this wire to glue and to position up. Now what I'm going to do, as you can see here, I'm just going to get some glue on the back of here, a little bit on the brick, and I'm just going to hold that up. It's really difficult to see whether you can see that. Hold that up on this back plate, which is all now glued and solid in place. Pop the battery in, and that's going to put a bit of pressure on this while it dries off. I can then, once this is dried, shape this wire over the top of this brick so I can get it running through to where I want it to on the ATI connection. So a little bit of super glue down inside on the bricks to start with, and a little bit of super glue around the outside of it. Now, as I've said when we were doing this, you can make this. The beauty of doing, if you like, a mod with a construction type stuff, Lego we'll call it, is that you can make it to any spec you want. You know, if you want to, and all I'm doing is just positioning that up while that's there. You know, you can make this to fit, you know, an 18650. You can make it to fit, you know, you can put VV in there. You can get clear Lego blocks. If you wanted to, you could build a clear Lego wall in the side of this and put a voltage display in there. There are so many options, and doing something with, you know, with Lego, shall we say, is pretty much, you know, there are no limitations. If you played with Lego when you were a kid, you will know that you know, the possibilities are endless as to what you can actually make with this stuff. While that's drying, and which is great, you know, especially if you want to, you know, you want to prototype something, brilliant stuff to work with. What I'm going to do is just snip this one back, because what we're going to do is switch our pos on here. I can't remember what I said, whether I said we're going to switch a neg or whatever last time, but I'm switching a pos, and I'm going to need another little bit of wire which is going to run from my switch to my ATI connection. So I'm leaving enough on there. My neg I'm going to do in a very different way today, different to the way that I would normally do this. I'm going to actually be running my neg wire directly once the ATI's in situ. I'm going to be popping that on. Reason for that, I don't know, why not? We could run it the other way, it's not a problem, but I'm thinking, you know, to get switching all that sort of stuff in, it's going to be a bit tricky. So I'm just going to solder up one end that I've got here on my top connection, which has already got my switch mounted in and glued, which means all I've got to do on this one is just mount in my switch here. Just solder that on. So I've got my switch portion mounted up, and that's going to pop through the end here to be soldered onto our ATI connection through there. And this one here, I'll tell you what I might do actually, I might leave enough there and I'll do it all in one hit. Let's cut a little bit off this. So while that's gluing, I might as well strip this back at the same time. and get that done. Always cleaning your tip before you solder in. Put that on there. There's that one done. So I'm going to leave that gluing, switch is in place, just gluing in this end here on the battery terminal. I'll come back in a couple of minutes and we'll try and get an ATI on there and see if we can get it to fire. I'll talk to you in 2.
It's still lasting. So, whenever this, and hopefully should be able to get it all set. And then just be a matter of finishing off. So, makes it to a good even consistency. So, the most important thing we have to position up this switch to make sure it's not too far away, so they are really pushing hard on the trigger at the bottom. Again, see these positives connected at the same time. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Also gives me something to study about again. That's too far back.
Okay. Now I have a bad echo. I'll kill that. Not sure what happened there. The wonders of the interweb on our Christmas show have seemed to have buggered your video, Mark.
It appears so, yeah.
Yes. Now, it was, in all the testing and all the setting up, playing absolutely perfectly. And it played out last week in the same format, in exactly the same settings. It's nothing to do with having you live. I had no CPU running, or no higher than it was, and it was actually lower than running some of the other videos. Yes, I think it's one of those things. Have we got any feedback from the guys how we are now? Are we coming through loud and clear now?
Seems to be.
Yes. So I know we won't preempt it. We may give it a another little blast a little bit later on. Talk us through realistically where that bit was going.
Trying to think where it was now. I happen to have the mod here.
Yes.
What I was doing was I fixed in epoxy around here. Remembered to clear a space away for to solder the negative wire on, which I completely forgot about. So I'd epoxied over the entire 510 connector.
Yeah.
So I cleared a bit away, soldered onto it. I think I've lost my camera.
No, it's all coming through good, mate.
So then just a matter of waiting for it to set. I've sanded down a bit of the edges and bunged the battery in basically.
And you're running that with an 18500, aren't you?
Yeah, that's an AWIMI 8500.
Yeah, and you had to take a bit. Did you have to take any out of the? Because I know last week you were cutting out a bit, a little bit of the, if you like, the bottom section. Was that to drop that battery down a little bit lower inside there?
Yeah. Originally, this has a channel along the top here where the sweets would have gone originally.
Yeah.
And that that takes up a bit too much room to fit the battery in depth-wise. So I cut out a hole so it rests on this lid now, and the battery sits there perfectly.
Superb. We will try and run that again at some point, Mark. I don't know for the life of me why it wasn't having that tonight, but I know a few of the guys have commented on our little festive scene. Yes, I did convert the shed, especially for tonight's show, and you know, Mark's in the plasma. He's well up there, above the open fire. We said we were going to take a couple of questions from chat, if anybody had any questions whatsoever. We did, I believe, have one question, which I'm not sure whether it was a decent question. I know they're all decent. I can't find. It was something to do with the Vamo. And I think it was saying, I don't even know it's from, because that's way gone now and I can't get a question back.
That was from Jump On One.
Yes.
He was asking about how good because of how good the Vamo circuits are we planning on making anything with a Vamo circuit in? Something sonic, perhaps.
Something sonic, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether you're the same as me, but like I've just got one of the little it's sort of like a VMAX clone. I know Dave got one as well in one of the group buys. While we're on the subject of Dave, I think we should all, I know it's been done many times before, but congratulations, Dave, on becoming a grandfather.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, we can say it live on our show now. But I've got, you know, one of those, and I've got the Z-Max Mark II, and they are, you know, they're proper sterling mods. How anybody can take me seriously with this hat on, I do not know. But they are. I mean, I think for me personally, if I'm going to sort of crack something apart and have a go at modding it, I wouldn't buy something for the purpose of that. I always wait for something else to fail.
Yeah, I think if anybody has any broken ones over the future, they can send them to her and have a look at them, certainly. But I wouldn't want to take apart a one that's working. No,
we can most definitely sort of have a go at reconstructing a duff one. And I think, I mean, you've had a play with some of the old lava tube boards as well, haven't you? You know, when they fail and rip them out, and you can stick, I suppose it'd be the same thing, wouldn't it?
It should work exactly the same way, I think. Yeah. The basic connections will all be the same, so yeah.
Because I know there's one thing, though, that me and you are desperate to get our hands on.
Yes.
I think, I'll tell you what, I think that is a very good point, Mark, to open up a little bit of a competition. The Lego mod that I was making, I know I said last week, you know, that we would give that away as a prize. I reckon the first one who can hammer in chat right now live what me and you are desperate to get our hands on. Now be careful with this.
What vaping thing we're desperate to get our hands on?
Yeah, what vaping modding type thing are we desperate to get our hands on? And I think first person to answer that, you can have the Lego mod.
And that was quick.
So do we have a winner?
Yeah, Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit. So what did he say?
The DNA 20.
The DNA 20. And I know we are seriously desperate to have a go at one of those. I don't know, me and you, I think we both had a look at the same thread that's running on, I think, is it Breakthrough, who's got one, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's posted on our forum as well. He's posted a lot of information on there about it.
And he's just teasing us.
Yes.
I think we need to send the boys around. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to slip into our first little ad break, Mark. We'll come back after this and see if we can start trying to fix luck. It's gone. Catch you in a bit.
sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley. iWeber and iWeber Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iWeber.co.uk and iWeber-elixir.co.uk. iWeber and iWeber-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of VaporTrails.tv.
And good evening, eventually. Took a little while to get things wound up and ready to go though, didn't it? But I'm here now, so welcome to Dave's Tackle Box on Sunday.
So there we go, I'm back in the room and not long to go now. So yeah, I was talking to my son and he's watched me make things before.
And a very good evening to you. It is Tuesday the 20th of November 2012 and you are tuned into BBC Monthly.
At VaporTrails TV tells tonight being Wednesday night, it is time for the one and only chat show programme called VT Talk. Tis the Haze Hour. Again, Keith was just saying if it wasn't for the titles, he wouldn't come and do the show. He loves them so much, don't you? Well,
And there we go, we're back in the room. And while we were sort of away there having a little break, me and Mark were having a chat and we were trying to solve the mystery of the video jeller. God knows why, we don't know. But yes, we are both desperate to get our hands on one of those boards, aren't we?
Yeah, so certainly are. Somebody asked when it's due. Unfortunately, we still have no idea.
No.
We're desperate to find out.
Is there any idea on cost as yet?
Somewhere sub $50, so just under $50. I think's the estimate at the moment.
Yeah. Still it makes. I suppose it's they're great to play with, but it doesn't have to make an expensive mod, really, doesn't it? I know the you know what you're getting for your money type thing, but yeah, you wouldn't be making those to flog, really, would you?
Yeah, I mean $50. You're looking at, by the time you get it here, somewhere about the £35 mark.
Yeah.
Then you've got to put it all together, so you're looking at something. If you're going to sell it, it's going to be over 100.
Yeah, which is God knows. If you guys have got any more questions for us tonight, we are having a little bit of a question and answer session. It can be on anything that you would like to ask us. Come on, don't be shy. We're here. You know, we're waiting for you. You know, my chestnuts are getting rather hot at the moment on this open fire, and Mark's jumping at the bit to take on your questions, aren't you, Mark?
Certainly.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go in to, hopefully this little thing's going to work. Let's go into our next vid. What I'm going to do, Mark, is try and slot in your one after this, just for the guys out there. If it doesn't, if it sort of goes a bit wonky again, we'll have to pop out and we'll try and resurrect them and run them another day. we might be waffling for a long time if mine doesn't play out, because at the moment my processor is not liking me at all. So it may well be the fire thing and the hat. It might not like the hat, you know. I don't like the hat.
Yeah, it's the flashing red end.
Got to have a flashing red end on tin tip, mate. Right, we'll come back after this. Right, so my glue is still drying, and what I'm going to very quickly do is just solder up an ATI connection. A little dab on the outer rim, tiny blob on the inside, and I'm all sort of tinned up, ready to go. Now this is still drying. What I've got to do here, I'm just going to feed my negative wire through the hole that we've made in the top here for our two bits. Easier said than done. I seem to be feeding that into Lego cavity land. Let me just pull that back out, and there we go. So I've got my two bits out here, and obviously I've got I'm switching the pos via this top little Lego cap here, which will be glued in place when we're finished. And I like to work with them like this, with the wire sticking out. It's much easier. Just going to bend back my pos pin ever so slightly. Now I'm not sure what the power's like in this battery, but it may well mean that we can have a test fire of sorts at the end of this. Tinning up, holding on there, pressing against the wall, and this is where I like to bring in a pair of pliers just to bend that centre pin down. I find it easier to work with, easy to get a grip on, no burny fingers. Hold that down on the centre pin and glue that in place there. Now I'm not sure even whether this battery has lifing. It actually does, but we've got our mod sort of, if you like, in a semi-complete state there. If I were to hit my button now, and you hear that? So we know we're working. Effectively what we can do is try to ease our ATI connector into where it needs to go in there. Just look at the alignment of this, just to show you. Let's take that out of it. So what I'm going to do is feed it back out. I'm going to apply a little bead of glue around the outside of my ATI connection there. Hold it upright, and I'm just going to start feeding it back down in that hole to where I want it to go. And you can sort of hold it up level as that's drying, if you know what I mean. Sets off quite quickly. And I'm just going to apply a little bead of glue around the inside of that ATI connection. See if we can come down so you can see what we're doing. So while I'm holding that in place, I'm just applying a little bead around the inside of there too. Obviously we've got the, you know, it's drying in the core, it's drying in there, and it will be drying outside. So once that's pretty much level, I should be able to unscrew that bit. And we have our ATI connection in our Lego. How good's that? So what I need to look at doing now is just positioning up the cables that we got down inside, or the wires. So just having a little tidy as we go. And before I sort of put this in place, I'm just going to, with a screwdriver, and it might be difficult to see exactly how I'm doing this, but I've got the neg wire running over the top of this block here. What I'm going to do is just apply a very tiny dab of glue just on the top of the wire, and that will seep down in over the top of that block, and that should keep that sort of nicely in place. I've also got to look at positioning up these wires so I can drop them down inside, and just making sure that I'm not going to be touching anything, shorting out on my pos to my neg pin there. So that would be my top section going in. Once I've got that, I'm just going to ease it up ever so slightly, because what I've got to do now is run some glue around the outside, and I've just realised I've completely run out, so let me get some glue I'll put back into. That rhymed. Yeah, he's getting all poetical in his old age. See you back after this. And we're back in. And we're back in. And we're back in. And we're back in. And we're back. Must kill my headphones. Get bad feedback. I've got to have my headphones on tonight because we do have Mark in the TV above the fireplace tonight. One thing I must say, I've just noticed. I don't know if you see that, Mark, but my parents have done. You know, they've taken. You know, they've decided to go to Tenerife. My sister lives out in Tenerife, and they've gone over there for Christmas. They've gone for a month. And every time I speak to them on chat, in Skype, they keep saying, yeah, what's the weather like there? What do you think it's like? It's bloody December. They're out there sunbathing. They're there in shorts. You know, they're all getting tanned and burnt and everything. And we're sat here, I'm in a shed with the heating turned up to nuclear. And, you know, love you.
Yeah, there's still T-shirts around here. So.
Yeah, of course we are. We're in Tim Your Tip T-shirts. So yes, I do believe we were going to be running Mark's second little video there. I think we made a unanimous decision we're going to try that again and try and edit it and see. It may well be running this Skype as is absolutely killing my PC. But there you go. I do believe, Mark, we had some questions.
We certainly did. First one was from Steve37UK.
Yes.
What is the weirdest mod you've ever made?
Go on, you go first.
Well, very boringly, what I'm making at the minute, which is a Lego mod, that's probably the weirdest thing I've done. Most of them tend to be fairly basics from sensible boxes and things like that. This has to be the weirdest thing I've ever done. You?
Do you know what? I think I've got one of, well, I've got two. The first one is most definitely that Lego thing we're making at the moment. And if my parents, I know they're watching, but that's not that's not. I'd say it a little bit later on. That's not the Lego you bought me when I was 7. It's new Lego. It's the one I bought my son. I've decided to butcher that one. But yeah, that has got to be one of the weirdest mods that I put together. The other one, which was I had a go at making something entirely from epoxy, and literally I put it had a charging circuit in it. It had a board from the PCCs. So I had a charging board from a PCC in there. Now obviously they've got the light indicators. I had a bit of a clear plastic over the, if you like, the 3 status charging lights. One of those.
Yeah,
an 18350 battery, a switch, and literally moulded the whole thing to my hand with a 510 connector in. With all of that in situ, let it dry, smoothed it all off, and it was, I called it the Pebble, but I've got it here somewhere, but never ever sort of took any pictures or put it up. And it was great. You could plug it in, charge it, battery died, it was pointless. But yeah, probably one of the weirdest mods ever made. I think we had another one as well, didn't we, about starting out modding?
Yeah, I'll not mention what Maddie Paul has asked about modding.
No.
Because Sav will kill me. Radfinks would like to know what basic tools you need to get started modding.
I'll tell you what, I'll start. I'll let you. We'll do one apiece. So, for me, the first tool, you've dropped out a little bit. Hopefully, you're going to come back. There you are. You're going in and out like good, but you're there now. For me, I think probably the most essential tool in your modding arsenal is going to be, start off with, a workspace. You've got to have somewhere where you can actually sit down and spread stuff out and work and not worry about damaging anything, I think.
Yeah.
Because you know what it's like, you're drilling. You end up drilling through the bench, don't you? Even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I think going on from there, what would you say?
I have to agree, you've got to have something on your work surface so you don't damage the work surface itself.
Yeah.
And of course a decent soldering iron.
I think we all learned very early on that if you're starting out in modding, there are very cheap soldering irons, but they don't tend to do the job as well on the 510 connections when you're soldering them. Some of them are a right pig. You've got to have a decent, and I suppose to go with the soldering iron as well, you've got to have a decent bit of solder as well, haven't you? Because they all have different like melting points. So a decent iron, decent solder. From me, a decent set of snips. From there, over to you, Mark.
Decent snips, decent pliers, and a good knife.
Yes.
A good safe knife.
Good safe knife. Now, as well as I do, I have fallen foul of using a inadequate tool when modding, and I won't say it cost me a finger, but it did, because I don't have 100% functionality in that finger, and I ended up while making a 510 box mod, slipping and cutting through the tendons in my finger, ending up in an operation I had 2 years ago now to pull all the tendons back in place. So yeah, I think probably one of the other big things you need is common sense. I would say, a little bit of common sense would be a good thing. Hammers, don't really need those, I suppose, do you?
No, not really. Something like this is handy as well. Spray plaster.
Spray plaster. I super glue. If it's a little, that's probably not the best health and safety instructions in the world, but for me, if I have a little nick, super glue. I believe super glue was developed for it was one war or another, and it was an instant plaster type stuff they could carry around sound like Jonathan Ross, carry around for gluing together wounds. So yes, I would tend to, that's probably why my hand got infected. Not suggesting you do that, but yeah. What we'll do, we'll field a couple more. Let's play our next little video, and we'll pop back after this and we'll field a few more questions from you guys. Right, well, I'm back and I have my fresh tub of glue. As I was saying, the one thing that we've got to make sure of when we're popping down inside here, that you're not shorting any of these pins out against the ATI connection. Now notice it doesn't actually protrude much past the internals on this. Now if it did, what you could do is grind that down with a Dremel, the inside of the ATI, so it's that flush if you're worried about this. Obviously if I was going to be mounting the switch around that way, there would be a fair chance of it hitting, mounting it that way round so that the tabs are side on. I know I'm pretty safe. So I've sort of positioned my wires up, and as before, what I'm going to do is just apply some glue in and around all of these little top bits here, all my little knobs. Glue in your knob as we go. I'm sure people would be horrendously offended at me. I've just noticed that although 90% of this mod is genuine Lego, there is a small portion which happens to be Mega Blocks. I'm disgusted with myself. Budget Lego. So once that's in place, I'm just going to push that down, gluing my fingers as I go. I just want to make sure before that totally sets off, and this stuff is quite instant, that I haven't got a short in there while I'm doing this. I'm just going to slap my OE on, give it a quick test fire. Cool. I know that I'm not interrupting anything there. Take my battery out. And while that's setting, let me pop down the dot cap and you can see what we have. A complete mishmash of our Lego. Now obviously all multicoloured. You could make this as pretty as you wanted. You could make it colour coordinated, you could make it totally different. This one here, I've done it so that basically inside there, with that up, this lug here will sit on that lug there, which if you like holds the battery. It's like a nice little it's not going to come open. Holds it nice and tight. We have our neg spring down inside there, our pos spring up inside there. Let's stick our battery in. Nice and easy. Shut our lid. Nice and easy. As I say, you could make this so pretty if you wanted to. You know, with a tanky on. Tanky on the top. Look at that. A Lego tank. Hit the button. Now this Atty in here is sort of 90% dead, so, and so is the battery, so I don't know what sort of vape I'm going to get out of this. Even though, let me take the one off this tank. And this one's been running at 11 watts on a VMAX Mark II. There we go. Little Siam tank on top of the Lego mod. And you see that button sort of fits in there rather nicely. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but a very good thing if you wanted to have a play. And if you like, you know, prototype up a box, you can try stuff out with this before you even start dissecting stuff. So even with a half-dead battery and a half-dead carto, it still produces vapour, which is ultimately what we want. So we have our little Lego mod completed. A damn sight better than I did with the wood. And as I say, you can make these to fit any battery size you would like. Quite a solid little thing. Once they're all glued up and super glued in place, they are quite solid. Yes, one for the mantelpiece. But we might have a look at doing some VV Legos if there's any interest. But not bad at all. Make it round, make it square. You could put angles on it. You could do whatever you wanted with it. But ultimately, get down to a boot sale, find yourself some Lego, have a play. You can make whatever you want with this. I might stick some wheels on it. Yes, we'll have a look. I'll see you back after this. And there we are back in the room. I must remember to kill my headphones when I do that. I just get this really bad echo and it's not good. Mark, I think what we're going to do is we're going to run into our second little ad break. We'll come back. We got a bit more chat. I did have an emergency video prepared, luckily. It's proving worth tonight, hopefully. We'll see you guys back after this, and we'll carry on. If you've got any more questions, fire them through on the chat. We'll see what we can do for you.
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-Year Tip with Garry Dibley. this under I Vivid twice.
And there we are back, and there we are back, and there we are back, and there we are back. As I said, we were suffering tonight, slight technicalities. So we've had to wing it ever so slightly, haven't we, Mark?
Yeah.
Now,
just a little bit, I think.
just ever so slightly. And tonight, yeah, I've got my folks tuned in all the way from Tenerife, and they're watching, me winging it. Yeah, my sister. I'm going to talk about her for a little bit. She's owns her own dance company over in Tenerife, and she has a number of shows she puts out over there. So I'm very proud of my little sis. So it's good to see her tuned in, and seeing how not to put on a Dibley live performance when she is a pure pro at doing it every night of the week. With all that said, I hopefully think I've finally got this to work on my video on this. We'll see if it does. If it doesn't, we'll have to wing it again, Mark. Give us 2. And there we go, and there we go, and there we go, and there we go. Apex, or as I call it, Apex. I'm looking forward to that, Mark. You?
I'm very definitely looking forward to it, yeah.
I'm sure there will be lots more information coming very, very shortly. But that teaser, I must say, makes me rather moist, as does the DNA.
Yes, I can see us sat in the corner modding DNA.
Yeah. Hopefully, if people are kind enough to bring them along, and they've got one and want to bring it and say play with it, we could sit quite happily playing. We get 5 kilos of Lego, sit in the corner, 2 happy boys.
Oh yes.
I think we did have another question from our very own Dave K.
Yes, he wanted to know what epoxy or glue you're using to secure the attic connectors in your mods. The stuff that look like putty, and where can I get some? Which is a sore subject for me, because the stuff I've mostly been using is the epoxy putty from Poundland, which they no longer seem to stock anywhere.
No, they don't.
An alternative to that, and a better quality, would be the one that I use for finishing off on the outside of mods. It's from Millerput. They make a 2-part epoxy putty, which works really well.
Yeah, I know.
It takes a bit longer to set.
There is it's quite a bit more expensive, but you can get the if you pop down to B&Q and get yourself into, they have a section normally with all the painting and decorating stuff, where they have all the glues, the super glues, and they have glitter sticks and glue sticks and all that sort of stuff. B&Q do actually do their own range of epoxy putty. It is, I think it's about £5 though, which is painful when you can get the same stuff from. But it is, I find that stuff, the Poundland stuff sometimes can be, I think you'll know what I mean, when you're moulding it, it can be a bit gritty.
Yeah, it's very coarse.
Yeah, the stuff that B&Q do is really, really, really pliable. Some of it can almost be liquidy, and I've found that if you get one that's quite liquidy when you're mixing it up, it dries in probably about sort of 3-4 minutes. to absolutely rock solid. It gets red hot when it's drying as well.
Yes.
It does absolutely. It gets hot, but that is another good source. If you don't mind, I mean, if you're making, you know, a few, I think the difference with if you're making, if you like, trying to churn out 20 mods, you know, realistically, to keep the prices down to people, you want to be buying the, you know, the pound shop stuff. If you're making a couple of mods for yourself, B&Q, one of those for a £5 is going to last you. What I can probably get 20-25 connectors out of one of those little bits.
Easily, it lasts for quite a long time. I mean, I've been using that last tube of Poundland stuff for quite a while now.
Yeah, as long as you wrap it up tight and do it, and you might have to trim a little bit off the end to, you know, it goes a bit crusty if the two touch, doesn't it? But it doesn't sort of dry solid all the way through. As long as you cut a little bit off the end, remold it, I think you're all good to go again. But yeah, the liquid stuff, I don't tend to get on very well with at all. The two-part stuff, I find it dries a lot slower. I think it's harder to hold stuff in place while it's setting. You know, whereas I find with that epoxy, you know, with the putty, you can actually mould it around a connector, hold it in place pretty much until it starts going firm, and then give it a final press down and set it aside, and does the job well. I've just realised what a complete and utter donkey I look tonight.
Well, I didn't want to say anything.
No, that's fine. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Now, I did say I had an emergency video. I know that Dave sort of touched on this last night, which made me chuckle because I filmed this yesterday, and I've actually modified my bench. I'll show you this. See if it plays out. We'll pop back after this. If you've got any more questions you want to get in quickly before we end the show, I'm going to play this one out. We'll come back to you after this. Right, so I've had a little problem that I wanted to tell you about. I'm going to say had, a very nice little did. Now, you may be able to see, if I take the top off, my once functioning did, that it doesn't anymore. And the reason being, there should be a big centre pin sticking out the top of here that you screw things to. I went and dropped it. I was trying to make it on the bench and it fell, and I had it actually screwed to a mod, and it fell off the bench and landed straight on the brass bit and it snapped. So I had a wonderful idea. This is my, if you like, my little mobile little bench. I use this for, effectively, this is what I work on, to try and keep the bench underneath that is also messy tidy. Obviously doesn't work that well, but what I decided to do, let me move these out of the way, move this out of the way, move this out of the way. I have in there now, and I'm going to move the camera and see if I can come down on this for you a little bit. There, look, I've embedded a 510 connection. How bloody clever am I? And the reason for that, struggling a little bit with making some atties and stuff. So for example, for the did, I can now screw this into my workbench. It's solid. I can take my top off and I can do my stuff on it, and I know it's not going to fall off the bench because it's damn well screwed to it. Now obviously you could use this for anything. If you do your re-wicking at your coffee table, be it solid oak and your wife loves it, drill a 510 connection in. You can put a mat over it, nobody will ever see it. Brilliant for re-wicking. And because it's a 510, not only does it take the did that's broken and I need to order a centre post, I might stainless steel upgrade it, but any form of rebuildable you can get in there, and you can take your top off your rebuildable. God, that's bad. Get in there and I may need to rebuild that one and rebuild. But if you've got a little bit of wood or something, 510 connection in it, jobs are good. works out very, very, very nicely. Now that was a little time killer, he hoped, because I don't know how we're doing tonight. But what I've done simply is 9mm hole into my little bit of jobby, sunk it in, glued it in, and it'll be there forever. Might need a little blowout if it gets full of stuff, but I've got a real building platform, we're going to call that. So yeah, very quick, simple mod. It's not the prettiest in the world, but it does hold it steady when you're trying to do stuff, and I am a complete donkey when it comes to recoiling. That may help. Don't know, but it might do. See you back in the studio. So there we go, so there we go, so there we go, so there we go, so there we go. So that was a very quick mod, and I'm so glad I did that, because that has helped no end with the time tonight. I think we got a very quick couple of questions. Hit at me, Mark.
Hi-Fi asked about your super glue. Where you can get the one with a brush from, how much, and why doesn't the brush go hard?
Okay, very quick answers. B&Q, £5, doesn't go hard because you screw it on tight afterwards. If you let air get in there, it'll harden up like nobody's business. It does get a crust around the top. If you don't screw it down tight, you're fine.
And Lazy Dog also asked a question of what glue you would use to carry current to hold a connector in an aluminium bolt.
Yeah, that could be a long one. But I would say, I think we agreed on that, in an aluminium sort of type bolt, you would realistically want to be press fitting that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you really want to just push the connector in, and if you find that it's loose on the back, just use any of the epoxy putty to hold it in place. Yeah. And the connection should be good enough to transmit. All
good. I'll tell you what we need to say, Mark. We need to say, obviously it's our last show before Christmas. On behalf of me and Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure doing the shows for you over recent weeks, hasn't it? It's been good to have Mark involved, so I'd like to say thank you very much to you, Mark.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Obviously, a happy Christmas, and we will see you in the new year. To everybody who is out there, don't forget to tune in to the rest of the shows this week. Tomorrow night we have Vapor Scene. We've got I can't even say it. We've got the VTTV talk show on Wednesday. How's that? Haze Hour. He's losing it big time. Haze Hour on Thursday, and Sunday with Dave on Tacklebox. Monday we won't be here. It is Christmas Eve, and I shall be with my family. Waiting for Santa. I do hope you have a very good one. From me and Mark, or from me, I'll say goodbye, and from Mark,
I'll say goodbye and Merry Christmas.
Yep, Merry Christmas. We'll see you next year. Jesus. See you next year, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-Year Tip with Garry Dibley.